Gervonta Davis versus Mario Barrios for a 140-pound fake championship. We'll get to that later on, but decent fight on paper. Decent fight on paper. And if you're in the comment section, make sure to hit me up in the comment section. I know 99% of y'all are going to catch this in the archive. So when you catch it in the archive, leave a comment below on who you think is winning this fight, how you think the fight's going to go, what you think of Tank Davis, etc., etc., etc. What you think about this fight. Shout out HLD in the chat as well. Like I said, man, archives, 99% of y'all catching in the archive. So leave that comment below. I just wanted to go live with this one while I had time. And leave my comments about this fight, my prediction. I love the prediction videos. I love talking about the fights on this channel. So hit that sub button, hit the like button as you come in the chat, and hit the alerts, because YouTube is weird. Hit the alerts so you know when I'm going live and leaving videos. All that good stuff said, Tank Davis, 24-0, 23 KOs. Man, this guy has power, and he has power that can translate to 140. I do believe. And we'll find that out. We'll get a good picture of that on Saturday, whether he does or not. But I think he has power that can translate up as he moves up in weight classes. The guy has power. Mario Barrios has power as well. 26-0, has won 9 out of his last 10 fights by KO. The one fight he did not win by KO, you can argue he lost that fight. You can argue he lost that fight against Akhmedov. It's a close fight. He put Akhmedov on the canvas twice in that fight. Had he not, that fight, I think I looked at the scorecards. I think that fight would have been a draw had he not put Akhmedov on the canvas twice. And that was a close fight that could have went either way, man. Barrios showed a lot of weaknesses in that fight that I'll touch on as I go on with this video. 5'5", 67-inch reach for Tank Davis, which means he's going to have a reach and height disadvantage, if you want to call that a disadvantage in this fight. I think that Tank Davis is going to turn those disadvantages into advantages. A lot of times we look at the height and reach thing and say that the fighter who has the height and reach advantage, who is taller and has a longer length, automatically has an advantage in the fight. That's not always the case. In fact, in today's day and age, when a lot of tall fighters don't know how to use their range, height and reach becomes a disadvantage. And I think that's going to be the case in this fight, where Tank Davis starts to use Mario Barrios' height and reach against him as he gets on the inside. And if you go back and watch that Barrios versus Akhmedov fight, you'll see why I think that. He didn't use his height and reach at all well in that fight. All right, let him on the inside. It got pretty ugly for him at times in that fight. See the comment, if Barrios comes with an established jab and makes passes. Possibly. There's people out there who think that Barrios is going to give Tank a tough time in this fight and take him into deep water. I don't think so, and I'll explain why as the video goes on as well. But the betting odds are closer than some other fights out there. Lomachenko is a heavy favorite against Nakatani. Nakatani's plus 750 in that fight as of right now, and they're giving Barrios a much better chance of beating Tank Davis than Nakatani against Lomachenko. I think last I saw, Barrios is plus 350 in this fight. So they're giving him a decent chance of being in this fight with Tank Davis. This is for the WBA World Super Lightweight title. We'll touch on that in a minute after I get past the prediction part of this video. Complete bogusness there. This is not for a championship at 140. This is not for a championship. This is for a belt. This is for a trinket. It is not for a championship. I'll get into that later on. But I want to get into the particulars about this fight. We can talk about the huge reach. You got Davis in this fight. I do as well, and I'll explain. We can talk about the height and reach advantage of Barrios. If you can't use it, it becomes a disadvantage to you, a huge disadvantage. If you're a tall fighter and you can't use your height and reach, and you let shorter fighters on the inside, you become a liability at that point. And that's what's going to happen to Barrios in this fight, I believe. I think instead of focusing on the height and reach advantage of Barrios, we should be focusing on the quickness and speed and technical advantages that Tank Davis has in this fight. And he has a clear, glaring advantages of that in this fight. What we have to learn about Tank Davis what we may learn on this fight is what happens when, like HLD says, if you take him to the middle rounds, if you last and take him to the middle rounds, and he just doesn't overwhelm you with speed and quickness and punching power. What happens then when he has a guy with the chin, all right, who can punch as well, who takes him into the middle of late rounds? What happens then? I don't know if Barrios is going to be that guy. There will eventually be a guy when they step Davis up. And this is a step up fight for him 8 years in. And that's the problem I have with Davis. I can speak about all the potential this guy has. And we're still speaking about potential 8 years in. That's the issue that I have. And I know he started off early, 18 years old as a pro, but he's now 26, 8 years into his career. A lot of times we treat Gervonta Davis, as a guy 3 or 4 years in, right? But he's 8 years in. He's a pro, man. He's a vet at this point. So Mario Barrios shouldn't be a step up for him 8 years in. You see what I'm saying with that? Mario Barrios shouldn't be a step up fight for a guy 8 years into his career who has special talents, which Gervonta Davis does. He passes the eye test with flying colors, but until he's in there with elite opposition, we don't really know. We don't have that big name on the resume to verify that. All right. So, I mean, he has good wins against Pedraza. He has good wins against Gamboa, Santa Cruz, but Santa Cruz was heavily outweighed in the fight. Gamboa was well past his prime at that point. Barrios is a step up for Santa Cruz at this point. Let's see what we got. Campbell Blue in the comments said, not a Davis fan, but been humble throughout his training. He looks focused. I think he looks focused as well. There's a lot of issues with him outside of the ring in the past. But when he looks focused, he's focused, man. And he's gonna, I think he's gonna put on a good performance on Saturday night. I think he's locked in and he's focused. The issue that I have is I don't want him. It's a decent fight on paper. It just is. Fake belt, all that aside, pay-per-view, all that stuff aside, it's a good fight on paper. However, I wanted to see him in there with the top fighters at 135. I wanted to see him in there with guys like Lomachenko, Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I wanted to see him, if he's going to be at 140, get in there with Regis Prograis, get in there with Josh Taylor after this fight, get in there with a guy like Jose Ramirez. Mario Barrios, as much as they're building him up right now to try to sell this pay-per-view, he's a fringe top 10 guy at 140. He's a guy somewhere between 8 and 10, right? So he's not a top 5 guy at the division. So what this is Tank Davis hopping around from division to division, 130 to 140, 130, 135, 140, picking off baby belts, selling him as a 3-division champion. And there's a big difference between hating and detracting. I'm a Tank Davis detractor at this point. I'm a fan of his ability. Shout out Maestro Boxing in the chat. Big up to him. Look out for the channel and all the podcasts he's got going on over there. I'm a big fan of Tank Davis's ability, but this thing, 130, 135, 140, hopping from division to division, kind of ducking top 5 guys in those divisions while picking off baby belts and then selling him as a 3-division champion. That's the issue I have. That's the issue I have with Tank Davis. And there's a difference between hating and detracting. The Tank Davis fanboys get mad at me and other people for being a detractor of Tank Davis. But a lot of times detractors have more confidence in the fighter than the fanboys do. Obviously, I have more confidence in Tank Davis when I'm the one wanting him to get in the ring with Ryan Garcia, guys of that level, right? Lomachenko, Josh Taylor, guys in these divisions who are top 5, legit champions, who have been in there with legit opponents, right? So I have more confidence in his ability, apparently, than his fanboys do, because they're mad at me for wanting him to be in these fights. But I think these fights are even fights if he gets, not Josh Taylor, but guys at 135, the top of those divisions. I think those are pretty even fights if Tank Davis gets in the ring with him. Has good power, good technical ability, great speed, great hand speed, decent defense. This guy has a lot going for him. He has top 10 pound for pound potential right now. But he's 8 years in, and Mario Barrios is a step up fight for him. If you're 8 years in with all this ability, Mario Barrios shouldn't be a step up for you. This should not be a step up fight for you. That makes me question whether the eye test that I'm seeing is true. We can tell a lot about a fighter how his handlers handle him. The fact that they're handling him delicately 8 years into his career is a little worrisome for me. What am I not seeing that maybe they're seeing? Why are they going with the Sun Tzu Art of War sort of matchmaking where you put your fighter beyond defeat before you put him in the ring? That seems to be the Mayweather promotion blueprint here, to where we're going to put Tank Davis beyond defeat before he even steps in the ring. We're going to put him in, instead of with the top guy at 135, we're going to move him up to 140 with a fringe top 10 guy. As Maestro says, it's definitely fringe. Tank is a lightweight Jamal Charlo. They don't want the top competition. And that's the frustrating part for me, is I see these guys with ability. I see these guys being able to match up with top guys in their division. But the tough thing about Tank Davis and putting him in pound for pound list, like Canelo has made it very easy right now, right? Canelo has made it very easy to put him at the top of the pound for pound list because he's active. He's fighting 4 or 5 times a year, 3, 4, 5 times a year, and he's cleaning out his division. So he's made it very clean and very easy to say, okay, that's one of the top guys in the sport, if not the top guy in the sport. All right. The issue with Tank Davis is he's moving around from 130 to 140. So it's tough to call him out in your division, because it's tough to call out a guy who is sort of chameleon-like between 130 and 140. You don't know if he's a 140 pounder. Is he a 135 pounder? Is he a 130 pounder? What is he campaigning at? What is he campaigning at right now? So he's sort of a chameleon there. Like, do we call him out? Is he a top 5 140 pounder? Is he top 5 135 pounder? What is he campaigning at? All right. And he's not in there with top competition. So it's tough to put him on a top 10 pound for pound list when we don't know if the eye test is true. We don't have an elite opponent on that resume to verify that. That's the issue I have with Tank Davis. Beyond what we're seeing as far as the fake championship, like, they're promoting this as a championship fight. Josh Taylor is undisputed at 140. What undisputed means it's not this. You can't dispute it. You can't dispute it. Josh Taylor is the champion at 140. All of the belts that matter are in his trophy case. You have 4 belts that matter from the 4 top sanctioning bodies. You have a ring belt you can throw in there that promotes the lineal champion as well. So 5 that you could say. But he has all of them that matter. They're feeding Tank Davis another baby belt, in my opinion, to give him a championship at 140 and to promote a pay-per-view with Adrian Broner at 140 later on. I think that's a fight that's coming in the future, Tank Davis versus Adrian Broner on pay-per-view on Showtime. I think they're going to try to sell that. And that further delays answering questions on Tank Davis. I want answers. I want to know, what does this guy look like against top competition? What does he look like against his peers in these divisions? What does he look like against a Lomachenko? What does he look like against a Devin Haney? You can throw out all the names. If he stays at 140, put him in there with Josh Taylor. Put him in there with Regis Prograis. Put him in there with Jose Ramirez. There's a number of guys you could put him in there with at these divisions to where we can get questions answered. To say, okay, I verify it now. We can put him top 10 pound for pound. We can try to sell this guy as one of the top fighters in the sport. But as of right now, we're going off of potential. So as a boxing fan, a guy who is frustrated with the business, I just look at it as a boxing fan. It's frustrating watching these guys further delay us getting questions answered as fans. So that's where I'm at with that. Tank is sometimes a Big Mac away from me. And that's why I don't know if he can make 130 again, right? I mean, he's a guy who, he's got that Ricky Hatton vibe. He blows up in between fights. That Ricky Hatton vibe. I think that's where the type of guy Tank Davis is. Doesn't have much discipline in and out of the ring, in between fights, in and out of the gym. So, I mean, Josh Taylor has the championship at 140. He is the champion. So this is not for a championship. I don't think it's a pay-per-view type fight. And I don't think it's going to do well, especially counter programming with the Lomachenko fight. Lomachenko versus Nakatani. Lomachenko making his return. We'll see what happens. I dropped a prediction video yesterday on that, so check that out on the channel. So it's counter programming with that as well. It's a pay-per-view. I think it's a full price pay-per-view. From what I hear, they're having some issues selling tickets as well in Atlanta. So some issues with that. But as far as the fight goes, the prediction, besides what I want to see from Tank Davis in his career, this being a pay-per-view, this being a fake championship, yeah, HLD, shout out to HLD in the chat, $75 pay-per-view. Nah, man, not getting my money. Not getting my money. I'll check it out like the day after. You know how you can find fights the day after on YouTube and whatnot. That's the type of thing I'll be doing with this fight. But as far as the actual breakdown of the fight, I think Tank Davis is going to do well throughout this fight because I don't think he's a guy who's going to be over by Mario Barrios as this gets into the middle rounds. I don't think Mario Barrios is the type of guy who is going to take Tank into the middle rounds and start to drown him and start to catch him with shots. And like I said, man, if you want to watch a fight where I look at Barrios and I see the weaknesses that Team Mayweather saw and the reason that he's in the ring with Tank Davis in this fight, look at the Akhmedov fight. And I'm probably butchering his name, but you can figure it out. Akhmedov, 2019. The weaknesses that he showed is he couldn't keep a shorter, more physical fighter at bay. And he had issues in that fight. And he had to go deep into the tank to pull out a victory in that fight. Close fight on the scorecards. Had he not put him on the canvas twice, man, that's probably a draw. That was a tough fight. Close fight. Could have went either way. And he showed some deficiencies in that fight to where he's the type of fighter where his height and reach are going to become a disadvantage to him when he's fighting more talented, more skilled, quicker, powerful, shorter guys. Guys who can find their way inside. And best believe Tank Davis is going to find his way on the inside in this fight. And that's the reason this fight happened. They handpicked this guy with the belt at 140 and put him in the ring with Tank Davis. Remember, the Sun Tzu Art of War matchmaking with Mayweather Promotions, they're putting him beyond defeat before they put him in the ring. They picked this guy out for a reason. So I understand all the people out there, oh, Barrios is a big guy. Tank Davis is stepping up. We haven't seen him at 140 against a fighter like this. Physical guy, can punch, all this stuff. He's going to take him into deep water. I understand that. I understand why you get that on paper. But I'm telling you, you go back and watch this guy fight. There are deficiencies that he shows against shorter, athletic fighters who can get on the inside and bang against this guy. And that's what I see in this fight happening. I think Tank Davis is going to stop him. I think Tank Davis is going to stop Mario Barrios, who's in there for legacy and who's in there for just the money. Yeah, and the issue that I have is if you're in there for just the money, be honest about it. That's the issue that I have. They're trying to sell these fighters as they can have their cake and eat it too. Like, yes, they're going for their money. They're going low risk, high reward, but at the same time, they want their legacy too. No, man, it doesn't work that way. You got to go through fire to get that legacy. You can say what you want about Lomachenko losing to Teofimo, how he fought the first six rounds. Guess what? He fought him. Guess what? He fought top guys. Guess what? He fought Salido in the second fight. Guess what? He fought top competition through 16 fights in his career. We're 8 years into Tank Davis's career. Where's he at? A step-up fight with Mario Barrios. But they're going to sell him as a 3-division champ to the casuals or to the boxing fans out there who may not know better or may respect these belts for what they aren't, or to the Tank Davis fanboys out there who are going to build him up as a 3-division champion. But at the end of the day, man, he's not a 3-division champion. He's a 3-division belt holder. Just like Adrian Broner is a multiple division belt holder. Not champion, belt holder. There's a difference between champion, belt holder. Josh Taylor is a champion at 140. Tank Davis will be a belt holder. Mario Barrios is a belt holder. He's holding that belt. He's holding the trinket, but it's not a real championship. Not a real championship. That's where I'm at with that. But as far as the fight goes, this could be an entertaining fight. I think it will be an entertaining fight, interesting fight. Tank Davis is a fun fighter to watch. He is a guy with power. He is a guy with speed, 23 KOs in 24 fights. So you got to love that. As a guy who loves knockouts, you got to love that. No matter what you think about this not being a real championship, Tank Davis needs to step it up. The guy is entertaining when he gets in there. All right, so that's the fun part of it. I think he blasts out Mario Barrios somewhere in the middle rounds, and then they're going to herald him as a top 10 pound-for-pound guy, build up an Adrian Broner pay-per-view at 140. I'm telling you, I think that's what's going to happen. And try to continue to build this guy as a pay-per-view star. So maybe that's what they're trying to do, build him as a pay-per-view knockout star, et cetera, et cetera. But I need this guy to step up as a boxing fan. I want him in there with top 5 guys in whatever division he wants to campaign at. 140, 135, pick a division, campaign at it, become a target for your peers in that division, and then fight the top guys. Fight the top guys. Let's see you do that. All right, so I think Tank Davis beats Mario Barrios. I think he stops him, maybe even knocks him out cold. I think he's going to be too much on the inside, man. Barrios is going to give up that reach. He's going to give up that range, give up that reach, just like he did against Akhmedov. Going to give it up. Tank Davis is going to get on the inside and blast away. Blast away. And I don't think Barrios is really going to catch Tank Davis with counter shots on the inside. He'll have some moments early. He'll maybe touch Tank Davis up a little bit early, but as the rounds go on, I see people out there saying that Barrios is going to take Tank Davis into deep water. I think it's going to be the opposite. I think Tank is going to start to take him into deep water, get on the inside, and start outclassing this guy and lighten him up. How do you reference Sun Tzu Art of War philosophy on point? But that's what it is, man. Like, they're trying to put him beyond defeat. And you know what I'm talking about. Like, he gets they pinpoint a champion that they want to go at, a belt holder that they want to go at, that they can. I'm telling you, the fight that they saw was the Akhmedov fight, where they saw deficiencies in. We can talk about reach advantage, height advantage. It becomes a disadvantage if you don't know how to use it. It becomes a huge liability if you don't know how to use it. And that's what's going to happen in this fight. He's not going to know how to keep Tank Davis at bay. He's not going to know. He showed that in his career up to this point. He doesn't know how to keep shorter, more athletic fighters at bay. They're going to get on the inside, and Tank Davis is going to start banging against his body and then going upstairs with those uppercuts and lighten this guy up as the fight goes on. I don't see him fighting AB. They're too much of friends. We're already friend. That's my homeboy era. The thing that I've seen AB fight friends, though, as long as it's about the money. He's about the billions, right? So I think Adrian Broner is the type of guy who will put that to the side to make his money. And not only that, I think Adrian Broner is at the point in his career where he's just about the money, right? He just wants the paydays, even if it means losing to Tank Davis, serving himself up. And don't get me wrong, he's going to be training hard for the fight, et cetera, et cetera. But I just think it's a fight he would take, especially the money they would throw at him. I hope not, though. I hope I'm wrong about that, because I love Tank Davis. If he wins this belt, not championship belt, at 140, keep him at 140. Hey, fight Josh Taylor, fight Jose Ramirez, fight Regis Prograis. Even though Regis Prograis is out there saying he might fight Mikey Garcia next. I just want to see him in there with pick a division, 135 or 140, become a target in that division, campaign at the division, and fight the top guys in that division. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see you in there with the top 10, a fringe top 10 guy between 8 and 10, where Mario Barrios is at, a guy who stylistically plays into your strengths. That's what's going to happen here. He's going to start to pick this guy apart as the fight goes on. I'm telling you. I hope it becomes an interesting fight. I hope we get surprised. But I think this is more of I think Mayweather Promotions is seeing this. They're selling it as a challenge. They're selling it as a bigger guy with a height and reach advantage, a legit championship. But what it is, in my opinion, is a showcase fight. I think this is a showcase fight for Tank Davis at 140. And he's going to look good, in my opinion. I think he's going to get a stoppage or a knockout victory in this fight. And they're going to continue to promote him as a champion, a legit champion, and a pound-for-pound guy. We all know he can't do in that weight anymore. Yeah, I don't think he can make 130 anymore either. 135 or 140 is where he's going to campaign at. I hope Barrios wins so the boxing gods will punish cherry pickers. For whatever reason, man, the boxing gods, if they exist, don't tend to punish cherry pickers. They tend to reward them, especially in this day and age when guys are allowed to do that and fans let them get away with it. Big paydays, mediocre opposition. Fans let them get away with calling themselves champions and getting big paydays for doing it. But that's my prediction, man. Tank Davis wins this fight, a showcase fight on pay-per-view by stoppage, middle rounds, knockout, something like that in the middle rounds. And we'll see where he goes from there. Hopefully they step him up after that, because you shouldn't be 8 years into your career in a step-up fight against Mario Barrios. I'll leave it off at that. God bless y'all, man. If you're in the archive, hit me up in the comment section below. Sub, hit the alerts, all that good stuff. Hit the like button. And appreciate all y'all who caught this live. I'm out.